Welcome to another episode of Toots for Hoots. Is that what we're calling it? I personally like the sound of it. This is a series that's ongoing now where we trade musical instruments usually, but not always. Trash for video games was the original title. So we'll probably end up trading things other than instruments. But I've got a flute, Hannah has a clarinet, and we're gonna do a double whammy today. Take these into our buy, sell, trade store, trade them in, try to get some video game credit. But real quick, a couple things to discuss before we do that, before we get started. I'm trying to stray from the original game plan. Hannah wants me to stay on track. I want to start buying some PlayStation 2 games. But Hannah says we should stick with PlayStation 1 games for trade-in credit, so that for a year, because we said when we started this series that like for a straight year we were going to do this, and then we'll change it up after a year. And it would be interesting to see at the end of the year how many of one thing we could come away with. And when we first started the series, we asked for you guys' input. We had a lot of people agree that PlayStation 1 would be great, and I guess you win. And unless
I'm usually right.
unless there's a Digimon game for PlayStation 2 I don't have.
Okay, exceptions are fine, but
by and large,
stick to the plan.
Stick to the PlayStation 1. Okay. I hope there's a Digimon game. So how do you think this is going to go this time?
I mean, I always walk in going, they're not going to take either one.
Same.
So I have no idea.
Well, last time we were pretty sure we were going to get 40 for clarinet, and then this time, it still seems like I'll be surprised if we get 40, and maybe 40 apiece.
I know, but last time's given me hope, and this is hard. I don't want to get hope.
I think if I had to bet money, it'd probably be about the same for the clarinet this time, to 100, and then maybe the flute will be 40, or maybe we'll get lucky on both. I don't know.
Who knows?
That's always the hard part about this. It sometimes seems to just be on a whim what they're gonna pay out. I don't know.
They had to go and put the 50 extra cents on Mario Odyssey.
How much is it?
$50.50.
$50.50. I like the looks of this owl boy.
I do too. I've never seen that.
$20.
I like it.
We'll have to look at the back of it and see. Hold on. Beverly, how much is the ring fit? You know we need that.
$70.50. All the Switch games have 50 cents tacked onto them. Why? Yep. Except for Zelda. It's $59.99.
Wow.
Ugh, Zelda would be good too.
Yeah.
I've never finished a Zelda game.
Too long for you?
It's just, I get lost.
TLDP. TLDF.
Explain?
Too long, didn't finish.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So unfortunately out of this store, now mind you, it's one of two stores, there's nothing new from last time. It's all the exact same stuff. But it's yet but another chance to buy Parasite Eve, which I keep skipping. So there's that. And then PlayStation 2, you see Digimon? It's all the same stuff too. They haven't done as much restocking as usual, but it's alright. We'll have to check the other store.
Oh, okay. That's my running list. Checking out some of the pops. Look at this Lumiere. It's so sad. He'd have been really cool if it wasn't broken, and I think he broke while he was on the rack, because they still want $20.50 for him even though he's broken, so it makes me think someone broke it, didn't tell anybody, and put it back on the shelf.
So we took the instruments up separately. I took the flute up. I got 60. They're waiting. They're still looking at the clarinet, and hopefully the clarinet gets more. Last clarinet we did got 100, so fingers crossed we could have 160. That'd be cool. Okay, so here's the deal. $60 for the flute, which is great because those cheap student flutes, they're called, they're never worth a lot of money. That was more than I expected. I expected 35, 40 offer trade-in credit on that. However, the clarinet is a weird thing because last week's episode when we did this, we traded in the same exact brand of flute. They're Bundy Flutes, which is, again, student instruments, bottom of the line, not the greatest instruments, okay? But they're starter instruments. That's what they are. It's the point of them. We brought one in last week that was not in great condition. I had to recork it. We polished it, but the keys were a little rough, and they gave us $100 trade-in credit for it. This is the same brand, much newer, perfectly clean, and they offered us $35 for it. No big deal, that's actually what we're used to, and honestly, if that's the most we're gonna get, that's the most we're gonna get. But there is another one of these stores in town. We're just gonna drive over there and try to trade it in there and see if we can get a little more. If they even just offer us 45 or 50 or something, it'll be better. Hopefully they don't offer us less, but that's definitely the bottom end of what they've offered us for this kind of thing in the past. Now, we only have $18 in it, so $35.40 is not really a loss, but it's doubling your money, so that's all right. But we really do this because we hope to get lucky those times when we come and trade in. The flute was, we played like 13, 14 for it, and we got 60 for it. So that's a little bit better of a ratio, right? So maybe the other store will bump us up to that. If not, we're still gonna have, $90, $100 to trade in today, which is more than I could ask for. That's a good few PlayStation 1 games. All right. Bookman's number 2. Are we gonna get more for the clarinet here? Are we gonna get less or the exact same? Hopefully it's at least the exact same. I feel like they're gonna offer us 20 and we're gonna be like, gosh, dang it. Good news and bad news. Bad news, just looking at the stock of the clarinets on the wall. Might not go so well, but good news, there's a lot of cool new stuff in here. Especially that X-Men 2 and Maximum Carnage game, oh my gosh. I mean, holy crap. Justice League, somebody donated their collection or something. There's so much new, oh my gosh. Look at all these. You saw the ones in the lockbox, Maximum Carnage and the holographic looking X-Men game. There's, geez, 15.
Honestly, I was distracted by
35.
Switch games.
60, and then we're not gonna have anywhere near enough for all of them. We're getting distracted though. There's not a lot of new PlayStation games. There's a couple, but look at all this. Those might be tempting.
Are we getting Genesis games?
You tell me, boss. Look at all these new pops. See anything you gotta have?
Not yet, but there's a ton to look at.
There's a lot. They added a bunch of new ones. All right, how much did we get?
We got $65.
$65.
That worked out.
That's awesome. Okay, so forget everything we said at the beginning of the video about PlayStation 1. I think we gotta leave with these X-Men games.
I mean, that is a good find, so.
Which of them I get?
Maximum Carnage and X-Men 2. And then if I could see if the manuals are in both of those and both of these that I have.
I'll take a look at that one. Yeah, this is the cool cover.
Yeah, the hollow cover. It's in there.
So no manual on this one.
Okay, guess what?
What?
We are Sega Genesis collectors now. I mean, we already were. My Sega Genesis collection's pretty small. I don't know exactly how many games it's at. I haven't looked in a little while, but I think it's under 100. Whereas my PlayStation 1 collection, which I set out today to buy PlayStation 1 games, I think that collection's well over 300 or 400. But I think I know what I have to do in these future videos. I gotta quit being too specific. Because we said at the beginning of this series, we wanted to set out and collect for one console. Or at least for a year. Your idea was like, let's do it for a year, focusing on one console, and at the end of that year, switch up, or maybe even in a year, turn it into a series where we start saving up the credit and do an episode a month instead of an episode a week like we've been doing, and turn that credit into the big expensive games.
Right.
Right? If and when they show up. Which is still a good idea, but we have a couple choices moving forward. And I think what I did this week is the more realistic thing we'll do for this series, which is go to the game store with our weekly trade-in video and try to buy PlayStation 1 games, and if they don't have anything good, then buy whatever else is there. So that's what I did this week. There was no PlayStation 1 game I wanted to spring for. I had $125 worth of credit, and I would love to, on this episode, start buying $100 PlayStation 1 games and start getting those out of the way for our collection.
Right.
So the responsible thing to do as a human being would be to let the credit sit until the next week and go back and get something else. But the responsible thing to do as a quote-unquote content creator who's trying to make one of these videos every week is spend it. So I was happy, though, to spend it on these. These are all Marvel games, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I actually played all of them for about 20-30 minutes each right before we sat down to film this, just so I could talk about them a little bit. There's some good stuff here. But I do want to come to a conclusion about what we're going to do moving forward. for this series. And I'm just talking about this series. Our normal day-to-day videos here are thrifting videos where we go thrifting and I buy whatever video games ever that show up at the thrift that I don't have. That's what happens at the thrift. But this series, we're trying to do something much more special. So what do you think we do next week if we get another $120 credit? What do you think we do?
I think this week was a testament to show like how this is gonna go. Like,
yeah.
I think we can always go with the plan, like let's go find some PS1 games, but always have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Unless there's like something like this that's just too hard to pass up.
Which don't you feel like we're being unrealistic and it's probably gonna happen more? Like I don't know. Like we've been wanting to get the GameCube copy of Luigi's Mansion Black Label, which is hard. And like I just feel like next week we're gonna go and there is gonna be like $100 PlayStation 1 game. We're gonna be like, we gotta have Luigi's Mansion. We just because like we both want to play it on the GameCube. We just, So we're probably not being realistic, thinking we're gonna spend all this credit once a week, once every couple of weeks, on just PlayStation 1 games. Our original plan and Hannah's original idea was to go a year using all the credit we get just to knock out whatever PlayStation 1 games with no care. Just if we don't have it, buy it, get it. And then after a year, either switch to another console, or you had a really good idea here, or start doing a monthly episode or every couple month episode rather than the weekly episode we've currently been doing with this series, and start buying bigger games.
And get those prize games.
Yeah, because as you guys may or may not know, there's some very expensive PlayStation 1 games, and who knows if those top tier ones are ever going to show up at our buy, sell, trade store. But I don't know. I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings about this. A lot of people, when we initially said we were going to do this series, were just like, well, you should buy... A lot of people said something to the effect of, you should buy X or Y or Z console because they're getting hard to find. And it's like, I know, but I kind of don't care about that. Like, I want some Vita games. We currently only have one Vita game, and we've been enjoying it on this beautiful screen, and that's great. But like, every time we've made one of these videos now, since we've had the Vita, I've looked at Vita games and I've said, well, I'm not going to play that. I would still rather get the PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah, I think there were two there this time, and both of them, there was one that was like, okay.
Yeah, and I even asked a friend, and he was like, well, I really like the game, but it's like, it's an RPG, and I'm not going to put the time in for an RPG right now. That's not what I'm looking for. Whereas these are. I love sitting for an hour or so and just playing a game, and just this is kind of a one sitting. Almost every one of these games is almost a one sitting game. You want to sit down and play it through, and that's about it. Which again we'll get to here in a second. But I guess moving forward, we're in agreement that it's like, yeah, we're still going to focus on PlayStation 1, but for the sake of finishing the video, for the sake of building the collection, for the sake of what we're doing right now, we're gonna always try to spend it all at once and get whatever we can to bring home to play and to make videos out of and stuff.
I think that's a great plan.
And it's probably going to go terrible next week. Because, like, you know for a fact next week we're going to take another clarinet in and we're going to get $100, and there's going to be some shiny thing over there on the shelves, and we're not going to be able to focus on anything.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Okay. I think let's just go with the flow.
Well, we did really good for the first couple episodes. I guess every episode till this one I bought all PlayStation 1 games, right? Or
yeah.
Maybe I picked up a little something else, but I'm gonna try to focus it. I really hope what I hope happens next week is we go in and there's finally like that one really good PlayStation 1 game that's like $120. Because I think my PlayStation collection has one or two, maybe $300-ish games in it right now. There's so many more expensive games to go, and I want to get my hands on those, and actually I want to play some of those expensive games that I've been eyeballing that are actually good on my CRT, on my PlayStation 1, and not have to, worry about never playing them. Okay, well, let's get into two things real quick. That was a nonsense conversation. We don't know what we're doing, and it doesn't really matter. We're going to go buy video games next week. We'll figure it out.
Come along for the ride.
Right. Now, the other conversation, if I can find my phone, is I want to talk about these games real quick. I'll tell you each one what we got, and I'll tell you what I thought about it, and you guys can definitely comment below about these games, and let me know what you think about them, which one's your favorite, if you have any fond memories, anything like that. Definitely let me know below. But let's talk about them kind of in sets here. Hold these up, Hannah. We've got X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. Here's number 1, and there's number 2. So, I guess that was backwards. We're looking at a weird... Okay, so, X-Men, they're both... Honestly, they felt like just the exact same game. They really were just... One was just a sequel, the other... You start out as a randomly selected mutant, I believe. At least in the first one. You put that... For me, I put the bad boy in, and it's like, boom, your Wolverine fight. And it's just a platformer. And I had the most fun with the first one because I was playing Nightcrawler and just teleporting through things, and it was a lot of fun.
Rad.
Well, actually, he could teleport, but he couldn't teleport through stuff. So, like, if you teleported at a wall, he wouldn't go through it, which would have been a lot more fun, but it would have been OP. This game is more exciting to look at than it was to play because of the holographic title, the second X-Men game, but they're just platformers. If you ever see these out in the wild and you want some good platforming fun, you can definitely play either one of those. I'll probably just be putting the first one back in. I didn't find the second one special enough to really want to go back to it too much, but I do almost obsessively collect both X-Men video games and trading card games, so I'm more than happy to have this shiny title one. I mean, it looks like a great playing card, doesn't it?
It does.
So those were good, but they were great. I mean, I would highly recommend either one of them. Now, 2 more here. We've got a regular old beat-em-up with Maximum Carnage. I get a great-looking case. I mean, just... I'm going to probably display all of these games on a Marvel shelf with some of my other Marvel 12-inch figures that I have. But this was just... I'm honestly, personally not into regular old beat-em-up games. Just... You know, did you watch any of me playing that one? You just kind of just kind of walking down and you just kind of have you're in one room at a time and you beat everybody up that comes, then you move on, and it's a really typical classical kind of fighting game. But I don't really enjoy them. I don't know what it is. Personal preference. I just like platforming. I want to jump up and down and stuff. Which brings me to my favorite one out of this bunch, even though it was kind of the worst. It was probably only the worst because I'm bad, but the Spider-Man X-Men game was fun because, well, I'd have to kind of tell you my history of Spider-Man games. Do you remember, did you play Spider-Man games growing up?
No, I didn't.
Well, some of the middle generation Spider-Man games. I'm not talking about the newer Xbox One, PlayStation 4 ones that like are open world and super beautiful. Those are good. Those are great. But one of the first Spider-Man games Dakota and I got was the first one that like had open world. You didn't have to go do the missions if you wanted. You could just swing around. And I don't know that we almost ever played the missions on the Spider-Man game. We just web swung everywhere around New York. We would climb to the top of the Empire State Building, jump off, and try to swing back, and that was a blast within and of itself. It was like Grand Theft Auto, but you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not really, but that's kind of what it felt like. And so I actually never in my life played a Spider-Man game earlier than that until I sat down and played this one. And I found the controls to be really hard because you can jump and you can web swing, but you can't jump then web swing. So and then what buttons what is already hard to remember, but I kept finding myself trying to jump somewhere, web swing, and falling down, and I didn't really even get past level 1 because I was trying to get through all these games. But it was just hard. It was just like you could only web swing by standing somewhere. He would shoot his web. Quit texting me. I'm filming a video. It was Aaron. Hey, Aaron. Hope you're watching. You would web swing, and then you could jump off the web swing, kind of, but you just couldn't, and it felt like it would have been so much more natural to be able to jump and then web swing and then let go. But that was not the case. So, like, I'd probably have to spend another hour getting used to that, to those controls, and then I would probably have the most fun with this one. Because, again, it's just like all the other ones except for Maximum Carnage. It's just a regular old platformer. And this one almost felt more like a, what would I say, maybe like a Game Boy platformer or something, because the ratio of your character on the screen to the rest of it was a bit smaller than the other games.
Okay.
So it almost felt like it almost felt Game Boy-ish, because you were just a smaller sprite on the screen jumping around the platforms. But this is the one I did have the most fun with. I'll probably, after this video is over, actually put back in Spider-Man and X-Men. But yeah, so that's the games we got. And I do plan on moving forward with this series, making it a little bit more simple, where we just go, here's what we have to trade in, here's what we saw at the store, here's what we did, and then I'd actually like to come back at the end of these videos every time we buy a new stack of games and play one of or all of them briefly. A couple 1-2 minute clips, show you what the games we bought were and say whether or not we're going to play them anymore. And then if we have any like huge serious reactions to those games and you guys like them, maybe we'll stream them, and that will kind of maybe be how we decide what to stream in the future. And that's kind of the conclusion I've come to from this making today's video. I don't want it to be so scattered. I don't want it to be so what are we gonna spend it on and stuff. We're gonna go try to buy PlayStation 1 games next week. Hopefully we bring home something good, and we'll sit here and instead of just showing footage on the screen, we'll play it and say what we think, and we'll wrap up from there. So that's that. Let's talk real quick about the numbers of what we picked up today. I've been keeping track of the numbers every time we go. So last video we had spent $90 and we were up to $415 value, which was actually a 4.6 multiplier. So we times our money by 4.6. Our multiplier went down, but only by 0.3. So like it wasn't enough to matter. We have now spent $123 on instruments, traded them in, and gotten $540 value.
Sweet.
And that is a 4.3 times multiplier.
Okay. So, I was like, I knew today wasn't a bad ratio.
Yeah, it was good. It just like the last time we did it was. The individual day for last time was like, whoa,
yeah.
we got a lot of money. But I'm happy. I'm happy with where we're at. And I'll tell you what too, I can't wait to make another one of these videos, but it's like, I'm a little bit afraid that we're just, a different season's coming and there's going to be no instruments at the thrift.
Yeah.
And if that happens, there's a lot of other stuff we could trade in at the store. Though before we started doing instruments, we really did try to trade books and comic books and other stuff we found at the thrift. But it was also hit and missed. It was a waste of our time.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've ever done trade-in stuff at the store and just been killing it. So before we go, the conversation I would like to have moving forward, the conversation I know I'm going to get is like, we're going to get a lot of comments saying, hey, well, you should do this console because that one, it's more right. And that's all fine. I will definitely listen to those voices. But the conversation I'm interested in having moving forward is, do you guys do any kind of trade-in like this? Do you wish you could? Do you have a store where you do this kind of thing? And are there any other unique items you may or may not have traded into other stores? It doesn't even have to be video game related per se. I'm just interested in a conversation about trade-ins. Do you do any trade-ins with any of your thrifted stuff? Maybe not even at stores. I bet a lot of people buy specific items just to trade in completely different manners we haven't thought of. And I think that would be an interesting conversation moving forward. Let me know if you do any kind of trading with your pickups. I'd love to know. And then you can also comment below. Let me know if any of these games are your favorites. And that's pretty much it. Anything else to add?
No, it's been fun. This is a cool series.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
It's the only series we have right now. When we started this channel, we tried to do a few things. Like, we tried to have a video or two a week or every other couple weeks where we could do something different. So we had one series at one point where we were going to the thrift store and having a bit of a competition who could find the game of the most value or something like this. And that was fun, but it was too much. It was not very conducive to our scale. It was just too much work. The cool thing about this series is we've been doing our regular thrifting videos and stopping off at this buy sell trade store and just, you know, just saving that footage for later. So it's like, it's very convenient. But yeah, I'm enjoying it too. This is one of my favorite things we've been doing lately. Just because it's something for us to play, and we'll probably lay in bed tonight with our Retron 5 and I'll let Hannah try and be bad at one of these platformers.
I'm not good at platformers.
She's really not. But she does try. She does try. Okay, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. A couple things to note before we get out of here. Do me a couple of favors. Click the down arrow below this video. There's some links down there. It'll take you to our public Discord where you can come chat with us. If anybody else has any other X-Men games and or Spider-Man games from this from the vintage consoles, I'd love to see some pictures of those so I know what to look out for. I know what other Marvel games let catch my eye, because I know there are definitely some other Carnage and or Spider-Man related games I need to get my hands on because I love that stuff. So come over to the Discord and show me what you got today. Also below this video, there's a button beside the subscribe button now where you can click and it says join, and it's a new way for you to potentially support this channel if you so choose to. But click on that. There's a lot more information. Just click on that, check it out, see if it's something you'd be interested in, and if you are, consider joining. If not, don't worry about it. Your views are more than enough. So listen, hit the subscribe button. That one you do have to do. If you're here and you're watching, hit the subscribe button, pretty please. We'd appreciate it. And then I don't know, what did I miss? Tindo'sTrash.com. Check out our merch store. That's it, though. Yes. Come back tomorrow. We do post daily videos on this channel, though tomorrow's video should not be another trading video. But hey, if I walked into a store right now after this video and found another clarinet to trade in, I probably would make another trading video tomorrow because this is like my favorite thing on earth. But do come back tomorrow, guys. And until then, peace out.